Flosstube, I'm back! I'm really sorry for the long hiatus. It wasn't intentional. In the time since I've seen you last, I've grown and birthed a whole human being, and she's now 2 months old. So I am really sorry for the break. I haven't done a lot of stitching since I last saw you. So for a bit of an explanation, I was quite sick at the beginning of my pregnancy. I think I alluded to it in October when I was only really early pregnant then, in my last Flosstube, and it sort of got worse over time, and to the point where I wasn't keeping any like food or liquid down and I had to go on medication. It wasn't as bad as HG, but it was still quite debilitating. So I just, was not feeling up to stitching. I watched a lot of Christmas films and rom-coms, and even then I was just lying on the sofa feeling rubbish. So it was not a good time. And then in January at my 20-week scan, we found out that there was a problem between the blood flow from me to the baby, and there was a risk I would develop preeclampsia. So that was quite scary, and I was tending to get headaches and things like that, which is one of the signs. So I really wasn't stitching. I didn't want to sort of strain my eyes or make the headaches any worse. So that's why barely any stitching has been done over the last 9 months, which is really sad. But I started to feel a little bit better in the new year towards my due date, so I did pick it up a little bit more, and everything I have to show you here today I don't think you've seen. So I just watched my last Flosstube, and I haven't worked on any of those projects, so everything here would be new to you. So yeah, I'll just get started. Sorry, I'm a bit rusty. So I'll start with my finishes. You would have seen this one on Instagram. This is Elephants by Sophie Crafts, and I used this to announce my pregnancy. I had the idea for ages to create a stop motion video of this pattern by creating the two larger elephants first, and then slowly stitching the third little elephant, and then the hearts cascading up. So I eventually did that when I was feeling better, and I created the reel, and I was really happy how it turned out. And I'm also so grateful for everyone who commented and congratulated me on the news. That was very sweet of you. So yeah, I created a little reel, and then once it finished, I panned away and had my little scan photo. So I love looking back at that video. It's really sweet. This was a kit from Sophie Crafts, and I had it in stash for a long time. Sophie is one of the first designers I ever stitched, and I used to be in the habit of buying every single one of her patterns, so I had this one in stash, and I wasn't sure what I was intended for until I had that idea, and I thought it would be perfect. So as you can see, I haven't fully finished it, and I only made one change to the pattern. These hearts were like a dark red, and I made them a blush pink for my little girl, so that with the view that this would go in her room or on her door or something. So yeah, that's my first finish. The next thing I worked on was something different for me. It's just this tiny little strawberry motif here, and this strawberry pattern again is a Sophie Crafts pattern. It comes from a card kit actually, called You're the Sweetest. I've got it looks a bit like that. And so I took a strawberry from the pattern and I used dissolvable DMC canvas. And yeah, I loved how it turned out. I received quite a lot of hand-me-down clothes very kindly from my friend and her sister who had a little boy in December. So I wanted to sort of, not pretty, but make these dungarees slightly prettier by adding a little strawberry. And she's my little strawberry girl, so had to be a strawberry. And then I have a few other pairs actually, so I wondered if you had any ideas. So I have this pair, and I was thinking either a flower, or maybe a lemon, or her initial. But let me know what you think. She is actually already in size 0 to 3, and that's what size these are, so I better get a move on if I want her to wear them with the stitched motif on. And then I also have this pair. Sorry, I haven't ironed them. And this one has 2 pockets on the side. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas, I'm open to them. It would be cute to have another go at using the dissolvable canvas. And then my third finish, I don't actually have here to show you. It was Blackbird Amongst the Bluebells by Geeky Stitching Co. I stitched this, I started it in May and I finished it a couple of weeks ago. So my intention was to stitch it for my mum's birthday on the 1st of July. I didn't quite make that deadline, but as you know, stitchy gift deadlines are quite difficult as it is. And then with a newborn in the midst, it's a lot harder. But I was happy to give it to her a couple of weeks after her birthday. I'll insert a picture here of it in its final location. And I stitched that one because of the Blackbird. You probably see that there's a Blackbird in my logo, and Blackbirds are really significant to me and my family. Because I lost my granddad a few years ago, and he comes back to visit us as a blackbird and keep an eye on us all. So if I ever see a pattern with a blackbird, I have to stitch it. And the other reason was, well, my mum stitched this blackbird for me for, I believe it was my birthday last year. It's taken from a larger pattern of multiple birds, but she just picked out the blackbird. And then you can see on the back it says "Love Mum" with a kiss. So she stitched this for me, and also one for my nan, which she gave her at Christmas. So I just felt like she needed her own blackbird too, and that's why I stitched it. Then turned into a birthday present, but got there in the end. So I'll just give you a closer look of my mum's work. That's a lot of black stitches, and she doesn't cross stitch regularly, so I feel like that was quite a tricky one to do. And there's also grey parts as well, so, and half stitches, so props to her for stitching in black and half stitches when she doesn't really cross stitch. Now I'll just consult my book. My memory isn't as good as it used to be. So yeah, those are my 3 finishes that I've had since October last year. And then in terms of new starts, new starts to you and whips, I've also got 3. So the oldest one is here. It's in a Sophie Crafts bag that says "Happiness is just a cross stitch away." So, oh, that looks looks so pretty on camera. Oh. So this is Daisy and Bees by MarianaGoncalvesART, I believe. I'll link her below. She's on Etsy. This is stitched on a 14 count Ada. It's from Stash, so I'm not sure where it's from, I'm afraid. It's a printed Ada. And I'm also using threads from Stash. So I didn't have either yellow, so I've only stitched one yellow at the moment, but there's a lighter yellow in the centre. I don't have the image, I'm afraid, I just have the pattern, so I'll insert it here so you can see what the final design will look like. But it's essentially daisies that go off the hoop, and then there's a bee here at the bottom. And I started this back in October. So the intention for this project was to be a birthday present from my friend Hannah. Her birthday is in November, and she loves daisies, and her favourite colour is blue. So I think in the model stitch this is stitched on a cream, but I thought I picked the blue because that's her favourite colour, and also I thought daisies would pop on a blue. So yeah, my intention way back in October was to stitch this for her birthday in November, and it's not a massive stitch, but I was going to have to be my focus project. I probably should have started sooner, but yeah, with everything happening I didn't end up finishing it for her birthday, and then my aim was to give it to her for Christmas, and that also didn't happen. But she did get birthday and Christmas presents, just not handmade by me. And yeah, it's just been sitting in the whip pile. I guess there's not really a goal now, and well, I suppose the goal could be her birthday this year. Yeah, so it's not even a big pattern, but it might be a year in the making. But I've also had a lot of frogging on this one, just because, maybe because I've been tired. I've maybe like got to one of the last two petals and it's not quite aligned. So I have done some frogging here where it didn't quite work out. But I think this is going to be really, really pretty when it's done, and I'll eventually give it to her. So that's Bee and Daisies. I should also say, actually, because I was stitching from Stash, I didn't actually have either of the yellows that were called for, so I ended up using DMC 743, and then for my lighter yellow I used DMC 445. Sorry, I should also say, so a practice, that the needle minder is by Cotton and Clay UK, and goes perfectly with this. Let's have a tea break. My next project, my next whip, is The Journey Begins, which is a little 4-inch kit I picked up at the Stitch Festival back in March. I started this one in March, not long after the festival. And here's my progress. So again, baby brain, pregnancy brain at the time, I had to frog the coat quite a few times, just because the buttonholes weren't working out when I was counting across. So there might be some loose stitches now from not entirely picking all the rows, but fingers crossed it will hold together. But this is from the Crafty kit company, which I hadn't heard of before, but they had a really lovely stall. And we went on the Friday, and actually this kit was already sold out, so I had to order it there, and I got it delivered to my house, but I didn't have to pay delivery, so that was good. and I've stitched this because I got a few Paddington related items, baby items for Christmas. So again, I wanted to stitch this one for my little girl, and I made quite good progress, so hopefully I will finish it soon. I'll show you again the final design a bit closer. So it's really cute. He's holding a briefcase and a little jar of marmalade. And she also had some really nice backstitch designs. I might be able to insert a picture of one my friend Hannah finished that were really nice, and I was really torn between, but I ended up going for this one. And it's, yeah, I'm just using all the kit contents and all the kit thread. And then my last whip, I only started a few days ago, on Wednesday actually, and it is Let's Enjoy the Now by Geeky Stitching Co, and the design looks like this. So this is part of her Tiny Hoop Club subscription. You can buy them as one-offs, but I think you can also subscribe for each month. So again, you know, I saw her stitching it up part way, and I saw the little blackbird and the tomato plant, and I knew that I had to stitch it. So I started it not long after it arrived. I made quite a good start. There's the little blackbird, sorry, my needle's still in there. There he is. So I don't have any intentions with this project. I think I'll just keep it for myself and maybe put it on my bookcase. But I just really wanted to, I was thinking maybe it would be better to work on smaller projects at the moment, and then I can have a hope of completing them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this little stitch, and it's stitching up quite quickly. And yeah, that's everything that I've been up to. So not loads, but I've sort of been getting back into it, and yeah, enjoying it. I don't have loads of time. I stop doing it when she's napping, and sometimes it's a contact nap, so it's not possible. But if I can make a successful transfer to her bed, then I will pick up a bit of stitching here and there. And yeah, lastly, I'll move on to haul. So this is actually a haul from the Stitch Festival. So if you cast your mind back to March, this is what I picked up when I was there. So at the time, I was planning her nursery, and I wanted it to be strawberry themed. So I had a little strawberry mobile and a little strawberry changing mat, and I wanted to do some strawberry stitching. And at that time, it was quite hard to find strawberry patterns. But now, of course, over the summer, there's been like a stitchy strawberry boom, and I'm spoiled for choice really with strawberry patterns. But at the time, this was a new release that I picked up from Trudy Anne Designs, and it's called Sweet Strawberries. And I just thought that was really pretty to go in her room. And I also thought about potentially adapting it to be a birth sampler, but I'm not sure yet, because I'm a centre stitcher. I start in the centre, so if I'm gonna have to sort of design the wording myself, that might be too much for me right now. So I might just stitch it as is, or I might adapt it to a birth sampler, but I'm not decided yet. But hopefully I will start that soon. And at the same stall, I just picked up this little strawberry pincushion because I was just looking for anything strawberry related. I don't know if I'm just going to pin it to the wall or anything, or maybe I will just use it as a pincushion, but I was just, you know, gunning for anything strawberry related. And then I picked up the Blackbird at Dawn pattern from Love Poppet. I think I mentioned we went on the Friday and the kit had version of this had already sold out. I tend to be more inclined to buy the kit, just because finding the time to sort of kit up and find the fabric and the threads, not my strongest point normally, and now even less so. So, but sadly, yeah, it was sold out, so I picked up the pattern again. Another Blackbird. You see a theme here. Sometimes some Flosstubers it's bees, it's chickens, mine is Blackbirds. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to stitching that up at some point. And then, so yeah, I did also pick up the, as I mentioned, the Journey Begins from the Crafty kit company at Stitch Festival. And the last thing I picked up, sorry for the squeak, was Autumn by the Joyful Crafting Company. This is another little mini kit. I've stitched her winter design maybe a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed doing that. It was really quick stitch and really nice. It was like little gloves and scarves, and I've always liked this design, but it's, whenever I've seen her previously, it's not been autumn or anywhere near autumn, so I haven't picked it up. But I decided, right, I always see it and I always really like it, so I decided to pick it up in March, and then I was like, I'll just stitch it in autumn when it arrives. So it's just a little small one, so it'd be ideal for right now. And yeah, I might see if I can get all the series at some point. And also Emma just announced she's expecting 2, so that's really, really exciting. Okay, and then I've got a magazine which I got on Vinted. So I'm not really familiar with these Hatchet magazines. I believe there's a Disney one, and this is the Peter Rabbit series. So every magazine is Peter Rabbit themed. So I've been reading a few Peter Rabbit books to my daughter, and she has this cute little Peter Rabbit romper. So I was looking for Peter Rabbit themed cross stitch, and then I saw on Instagram Cross Stitched by Nat was stitching a summer Peter Rabbit sampler, and it had strawberries in, so 2 ticks. And I messaged her saying like, so I went on the website for here, and you could subscribe now, but I think it was starting around issue around number 50, and then you could buy the magazines individually starting at issue 7, and I wasn't really sure what the contents was, so I thought if I buy one on Vinted I can sort of see the format. So as I understand it, and as I asked Nat, she confirmed, number 1 is the start of the spring Peter Rabbit sampler, and then in each issue you get part of the sampler. But the one she's currently, so I think this sampler goes up to, I can't remember, but a certain issue, let's say like 28 or something, and then it changes to the summer one, and she's currently stitching the summer one. So if I wanted to do that one, then I might have to buy the editions on either through the company itself or on Vinted from that issue number. So it's a part of it at a time, so it's not like if you bought issue 28 you could see the whole sampler, if that makes sense. You would need to buy the individual editions. And I just also in there's like a couple of extra ones, Peter Rabbit themed, and then it's got these 2. So it's got like an initial chart and also a chart for this card here. So you do get a couple of additional ones in each magazine, but I wasn't sure. So I'm not decided yet what to do, but that's a potential that I might stitch for her. I bought 2 cross stitch books. So we recently went to Hay on Wye in Wales for my husband's birthday, which is like the book town because he's book obsessed, and I bought these 2 cross stitch books. I hadn't seen them before. So the first one is Wildflowers and Grasses, 32 beautiful botanical motifs to hand stitch. And they are really, really pretty, really like sort of delicate designs. I'll just show you a few. This one, so I was hoping for an iris because my little girl's middle name is Iris, but sadly they don't have an iris, but they do have a lily of the valley, which is the birth flower for May, and then they also do have like a little strawberry one, false strawberry. So yeah, I couldn't not pick that up because they were so pretty. There's also this one that I could stitch for my in-laws because they're Irish and it sort of reminds me of the 4-leaf clover. And then the other book I picked up was Cross Stitch Alphabets, 14 beautiful designs inspired by the natural world. And again, sorry, one track mind, thinking about what I'm going to stitch for her. Or just because they were small, and I thought, oh, I could make like little gifts for people, personalised gifts. And there's, as it says, there's 14 different alphabets, and they're really, really nice. So for example, for the cat lovers out there, there's this one. There's like one with bugs. I'll show you some of my favourites. There's a butterfly one, there's a bird one, cactus, mushrooms, like a little veggie one, which is cute. But my favourite, I do quite like this one with the leaves. But yeah, I think it's the cover one. Yeah, I really like that one. And then also there's another floral one. There's like a blossom one. Yeah, this one. I think this one's my favourite blue flower. They're very pretty. So yeah. Those are the 2 books I picked up in Hay on Wye. I think that's everything from me. I think I've been a bit rambly, a bit nervous. I've maybe missed out mentioning needle minders and fabric and things, but I've done it. I've done my first one back, and I definitely want to keep it up. I know it's going to be tricky, but I just kind of want to prove as well that you can like be a parent and you can keep up with your hobbies and still do things you enjoy. So it might look a bit different, my videos might look a bit different, whereas like before I had time to edit them, and I used to put up the banner with like what the design was called and the designer. I might not have time to do that now, and you might see like minimal progress each month, but I still want to be here and be in the community, and I've been delving back in and watching all the Flosstubers again, and I'm just really excited to be back, and yeah, just dip in when I can. I just want to really say thank you for all the subscribers that have stuck with me during this gap, and a couple of people like messaged from my last video saying like really miss your videos, and just everyone on Instagram who I posted a little picture when she was here, everyone that said congratulations. Like, it really meant a lot to share like my really exciting news with the community. So yeah, thank you, and I hope to see you again really soon. Bye.